Hi, I'm John of Communicate with Command, and I'm here to help you communicate better. In today's video, we're going to talk about unusual and fun ways to start staff meetings. Now, why would you do this? Well, because you want to be more productive, right? You don't want the same old humdrum staff meetings to happen. And when your employees get bored with your staff meetings, then you're not nearly as productive as you could be. Your company doesn't run as efficiently as it could. So I'm here to help you out. By the end of today's video, you're going to hear 10 fun and unusual ways to start some staff meetings. So let's jump right in. Do you want to have some productive staff meetings? Do you want your team members to be engaged? Do you want your team members to want to attend instead of having to attend? You know there's a difference. There's absolutely a difference between wanting to attend and having to attend a staff meeting. Let's take a look at some ways that we can boost up that engagement in your staff meetings and help your employees want to attend instead of having to simply attend. As many a successful manager will tell you, connection before content. The first way we're going to talk about today to have a fun or interesting, unusual way to start a staff meeting is with a joke, believe it or not. And I know that might sound corny, but hear me out on this. Jokes work well, and it's not just a joke that you would tell to start a staff meeting. Encourage others to tell jokes throughout your staff meetings as well. This does a couple of things. It certainly lightens the mood, it gets people a little more engaged, and the number one way that people get engaged is through humor. It really is. It's through humor. So encourage them to make jokes throughout. This leads to happier employees, and we all know that happier employees means more productive workplaces. Good emotions lead to better results. Good emotions and happy employees leads to better interactions between your employees, and that leads to greater company efficiency as well as productivity. So this really has some good benefits for your business if you'll actually just do this. You want to start the meeting positively in some way, and telling a joke lets you do that. Whether it's self-deprecating humor, making fun of yourself, you don't want it to be anything too off color. You make it self-deprecating though. But jokes are storytelling. They really are. And when you get people involved in that way, you know that they're going to be engaged. Humor is the number one way to get people engaged in the workplace like that, okay? So I'd say, even though it sounds corny, this really is a great mechanism to get a staff meeting started, okay? It's one of the best ways to get your message to resonate too. When people hear something funny, it sticks, right? When you hear a really good joke or you see something funny that happened, that sticks with you, right? And that's one of the other reasons to use humor. Now, how do you tell a joke? Good question. How do I tell a joke? Well, first of all, you have to find a joke that you're going to tell. Choose one that's something appropriate to what you're talking about maybe, and that would make it even better. You can certainly search for one online, plug it into your search engine and find you a good joke. But then when it comes time to deliver the joke, breathe, relax, smile. Having that positive outlook makes a big difference, right? It makes a big difference in whether or not your audience actually laughs at you or pauses silently with awkwardness, right? So you definitely want to relax, you want to smile, be confident in it, own that joke, and then deliver your joke, and that'll help. Another thing you can do is to try to vary your voice a little bit, to add a little bit of inflection. You might notice that I do that in my voice when I speak with you on video. But if I'm talking normally, I don't work that hard to make my voice change in pitch. So think about whether or not you have a monotone voice. And I'll give you a little trick, if you do have a monotone voice, on how to improve that. That simple little sentence, the quick brown fox? Write that out and underline just the first word. The quick brown fox. All you have to do is emphasize each word that's underlined. So the first time you emphasize the word the. and then quick, underline the word quick. The quick brown fox jumped. And then brown, underline the word brown. The quick brown fox jumped. And then just go through a whole sentence like that, practicing. It might seem silly, but if you're getting ready for a public presentation, if you're getting ready for a speech, if you're getting ready for a formal business presentation, telling a joke, anything like that, you want to have some inflection changes in your voice. So work on being less monotone. And I have to work on it all the time. I really do. I try to do that for you. So do that for your employees. Okay, that was number one. The number two way to start off a good staff meeting in an unusual way is to point out some success stories. So think about things that your employees have done and been successful at. Maybe it's a particular project that they've been working on. Maybe it's a skill that they do well. You know, you want to give some positive feedback to your employees here. Think about what this does for you. If your employees know that they're going to get some positive feedback in your meetings, then they're going to want to come to receive that positive feedback, right? That makes sense. So give them some positive feedback. You share team successes, whether it's an individual success or it's the team's success. You want to focus on those at the beginning of the meeting so that it gets people to come, get there early, hear that positive feedback before they dive into the projects or work that you have for them that day in that meeting. And we all like flattery, but make sure that your flattery is genuine. You've got to make sure it's genuine. People know when it's not genuine, right? So you've got to have some genuine flattery in there. This gives people incentive to keep coming back for those meetings and look forward to that positive feedback. Okay. It also sets a precedent for workers to commend other workers. It certainly shows that you're willing to give positive feedback to people, but in a subconscious way, then it allows your teammates, your coworkers, the people that work for you, to give other workers positive feedback as well. It works great, and it's a good thing to contribute to a positive employment environment. So that's a good way to do it. Things that you can highlight when you're doing this is certainly their skills. You know, if you don't have a team project that just finished, for instance, that you could talk about, then think about a particular person's skills. And this you could be even across the board, like one team meeting, talk about one person, another team meeting, talk about another person. You never want it to seem really unequal or unbalanced. But when you talk about the skills of the different people, then that's an easy way to make sure that you're equal across the board, and you could always focus on a different person each time. So you could talk about their skills. You could talk about their particular strengths that they have, certain things that they do better than other people. You know, you don't want to point out that they do it better than those other people, but you want to point out that they have a strength in doing X thing, right? A particular thing. You could also talk about positive personality traits. So if somebody's always smiling or always cheery, in a good cheery mood, you could always talk about that too, because that encourages a good environment in the workplace too. Makes people want to say, it makes people want to emulate. It makes people want to emulate that person that's always cheery or have smiles all the time. So that's a good thing to point out as well with positive feedback. All right. The third way you could open a staff meeting in a fun or unusual way is with playing. Yes, playing. And a lot of famous companies do this. I have taught play theory before. I teach play and communication and how we communicate through playing and how it affects our communication and all that sort of thing. But for staff meetings, you could play. You actually can. Now think about all the ways that you could do this and what it helps you do. First of all, you know it's going to help people relax. You know that playing helps people relieve stress. No matter what kind of playing it is, we all like to play something, right? Whether it's games or it's coloring or whatever it is. It doesn't matter if it's a video game or a board game or a puzzle. We all like to play something. We like to be playful. So it helps relieve stress because it puts us in that that primitive mode of just playing. And it helps people focus better, actually. Studies have shown that playing helps people focus better. So think about some ways that you can do this. Now, you could bring Legos, believe it or not. You could bring Legos and have people build something out of the Legos as you're going through a meeting. And if this meeting is short enough that your Lego structure is not completed, for instance, then put it off to a table on the side and leave it there for the next meeting. People are going to want to come back to the next meeting to finish the thing they were working on, right? And this goes for anything, not just Legos, but anything. Whether you start a puzzle together and you're working on a puzzle as a team, as you talk through your meeting, you're working on a puzzle, and then you leave it for the next meeting, they're going to want to come back. It's another way to keep people engaged, keep people a little bit relaxed. And it kind of gets those creative juices flowing too. You could also do colored pencils or markers and have coloring books, a coloring book for each person. So instead of playing on their phone during a staff meeting, they're going to be just coloring. And think about it. When somebody is engaged on their phone and they're texting or they're messaging or they're looking on social media, then they're tuning out of the present conversation, right? But if they're coloring in a coloring book, then yes, they could tune out, but they're more likely going to still focus on what you're saying while kind of zoning out coloring. It's a different level of consciousness that you're playing on something like coloring than if you're engaging and you're having to think about the words that you use in a social media post or in messaging somebody. There's a big difference there. So play in your meeting. It helps. It helps relieve stress, helps keep people productive. Now, there are a couple of tricks to using these, and I think that if you work on the same thing over those several meetings, like I was saying, then it definitely helps. They'll want to go finish that project. But there's another thing you can do here, and that is you can turn a company objective into something fun. For instance, think about what you get out of it, okay? So for me, as an instructor of communication for many years, then I would do something fun sometimes. I would bring in colored markers and paper, and I'd give everybody a sheet of paper, and I'd say, draw communication. Think about that. How would you draw communication? Right? It gets a little bit challenging. Well, if you have a company objective or a company mission, you have company values, you could always have your teammates work on drawing one of the values out. And that's not so easy to do. It's not. It gets them to thinking. But it helps bring you together as a team. It helps you focus on your company mission. You could actually accomplish something through playing together as a team. Okay? So that's the third way. Now, the fourth way is really unusual, and it is actually do something unusual. So change up your meeting in some way, whether it's going for a walk in a park or it's like a walk and talk. You could actually walk and talk and have your meeting as you're walking. You could actually go do yoga together. You could even do that in the office. You could meditate for 10 minutes before starting the meeting. You could have the meeting at a coffee shop. You could hire a masseuse, a massage therapist, to come in and actually go around the room giving people massages as you go through the meeting. You could go out and play basketball together. So you could do, like around the world, and everybody asks a question as you get there. I mean, there's a ton of ways that you could do this. Take it out of the office, in other words. That's number 4. Do it in an unusual way. Doesn't have to be out of the office. Like I said, you could hire a massage therapist or meditate for 10 minutes or do yoga in the office. But starting in an unusual way like that really helps people get engaged. It makes them think, what is this guy going to do next? Right? So they're going to come to the next meeting. Okay, so that's number 4. And by the way, doing those unusual things gives you good benefits too. Not only is it more exciting, but it boosts creativity, it helps the engagement, and it builds a sense of teamwork too. All right, so number 5. Number 5 is to have a challenge round. Now, what is a challenge round? Well, it's where you ask people to share a struggle that they faced, and then let everybody brainstorm for a solution. So if you have a bunch of people working on some different projects, and one person's been kind of stuck on one particular thing, then you can bring that up. You don't do it to embarrass them. You ask people to volunteer their challenges, and then you're going to have the whole team contribute possible solutions to that challenge. And that really not only helps people get engaged and realize that they are working as a team, but then it also comes up with a solution, doesn't it? It's a great tactic. And if you ask for people to volunteer, and I face this all the time as a teacher, let me tell you, but if you ask for a volunteer to say something, to offer one of those challenges, and everybody just sits there quietly, stare at people awkwardly. Do it. Seriously, I'm not kidding. Just kind of awkwardly look at people, look around the room, and wait. Just wait. Wait it out. Wait for them to actually come up with an answer and offer you one of the challenges they need help with. If you wait for a really long time, then you could maybe clarify what you were saying so that they understand a little bit better what you're wanting from them to speak up about, and then why you want them to speak up about it. So tell them that you want everybody to contribute a solution to this problem. I want to know what kind of challenges you're facing so that we can address them as a team and come up with some solutions for you. Okay? And then they'll see it more as a help session, and they're more likely to volunteer that information. Okay, let's see. It also starts the solution mindset. That was number 5. All right, number 6. Number 6. I have my note cards in my hand, so I have to hold up both hands now. 6. Start with an icebreaker. Now, I know a lot of you are going, oh, God, I wish he hadn't said that one. There are actually some good ways to do icebreakers. Now, typically, yes, icebreakers are the more dreaded starts to staff meetings. Typically, they are. But let me give you a couple ideas, because they don't have to be those dreaded, boring ones, okay? You don't want to use the icebreakers too often, though, because of that aspect, because the employees sometimes go, oh, what are we going to do today? But there are some good ones out there. Now, I know you've all heard of the standard ones, like the 3 truths and 1 lie. You give people 4 facts, and then their teammates have to figure out which 3 are true and which 1 is a lie. Yeah, those are the ones that people groan about, even though that one's kind of fun. But people very often groan about those types of icebreakers. So let me give you a couple of ideas here. Instead, go for a more productive goal. Share instead a life or a career goal. Inspire them with your ambition. So tell them a little bit about yourself and share something that you strive for, something that you have some ambition for. And then after you have been self-revealing, ask them to reveal those as well. Whether that's going around the room or just choosing somebody or getting them to admit it to the person sitting next to them. There are a couple of different ways to do that where it doesn't feel so invasive. You know, if you get them to offer it to the person sitting next to them, then they're more likely going to share. But you could do that. Share your life or your career goals. And then some businesses do a silly thing where they stick cards on foreheads. I don't know if you've heard of that one. Where they stick the card, they put somebody's famous's name on the card, and then they stick it on their forehead, and then everybody has to act like that famous person, and then the person that has the card on their forehead, they have to guess who the famous person is. Yeah, I think that sucks. I've seen that happen. I think it sucks. Sorry. Wasn't that fun? I didn't think. You might think it's fun, but I didn't think it was. But what you could do instead, think about productivity. Think about changing any normal icebreaker into something productive. Instead, you, the person that created the staff meeting, you pick one famous person and you imitate that famous person. Subject yourself to a little bit of critique here. Who cares if you look silly for a second? If this is going to get across a point. So here's the key. After you act like that famous person or give some lines from famous movies from a famous person or something, and then they guess who this is, use that. In other words, think in advance about who you're trying to portray in this charade, and then have a meaning behind it. So if I wanted to, for instance, inspire my company to get busy with some software implementation, then I'm going to choose either things that Steve Jobs has said or Bill Gates or somebody. Don't give me crap about saying those two names, okay? You choose whoever you want to. Oprah, I don't care. Somebody that's inspirational to you and to your business type. And then act like that person, pretend like you're that person. If you're pretending like Oprah, then pretend to give interviews, pretend to give away cars, or actually give away Hot Wheels cars to everybody in the room, have them taped under their seats. That just came to me. That's a good one. But if you do that, then they have fun trying to figure out who you are, and there's a reason for it. There's a message behind it. Then you give them the inspirational bit, the inspirational wisdom that you like from that person, like my favorite Oprah quote, for instance. And then you apply it to your business. You apply it to your ambition, to what you're trying to do with your company. And then the employees see the purpose of it, and it all comes together. And that's going to be memorable. All right, so there you have a productive way to incorporate icebreakers. All right. Next card. Number 7. Begin with an inspirational message. So the last one kind of led us into this. Begin with an inspirational message. It could be as simple as a quotation, as a famous quotation, and then apply that to how you want to proceed with your company or with a project, or how you want to tackle this goal in your company. But I personally like watching TED Talks. Pull up a TED Talk. If you got a projector in the room or a television in the room, pull up a TED Talk that speaks to your company, speaks to what you're trying to accomplish today. Whether you're trying to get your employees creative or productive or get them to think, you could actually search on TED.com, T-E-D, TED.com. You could search for the different types of videos there. They have everything from creative to intellectual, you name it. And then find something that you like that matches a theme. And make it work. Make it work and associate it with your company, your theme, your goals, your ambitions. And then when you have people watch those, they are typically very inspirational. It sets that creative mood set, that critical thought mindset. And then they're more productive in the meeting. They're going to be more productive at work and an application of your ideas to their work. Okay, so TED Talks are great for that. It gets people thinking, gets them inspired, puts them in a creative mood. All right, number 8. Now, this next one is popular, and it works well if there are certain conditions that are met. But this one's a little bit tricky. Happy hour. You want to be the most popular person in your office? Take your staff meeting to happy hour. It works better if it's in the afternoon, right at the end of the day. It works better if it's on a Friday. But if you're going to have a staff meeting on a Friday and expect people to go to it, then it better not be a boring one, right? Because people are going to hate you if it's late afternoon Friday and they have to stay at work for a staff meeting. So have it at a happy hour and they're going to be happy. You guessed it. You guessed it. So that is a big success. I don't recommend that one all the time, or you're not going to be as productive. And some businesses do that, and then they have like team building exercises after the happy hour. I don't necessarily recommend those. Not everybody's going to be in the mood for team exercises after happy hour. But it is a great way to get people engaged, to get people to feel like a team. Certainly handle the most important business first during that type of a happy hour staff meeting. But if you want to be popular, that's one way to do it. And it's certainly one way to get people to do it on a Friday instead of dreading coming to a staff meeting on Friday. That was number 8. Number 9, even though this is a way to start a staff meeting, this is less about a way to start a staff meeting than it is giving you some tips on keeping it on track throughout a staff meeting. There is a way to start it, but this is more about keeping on track throughout. So I have a couple of different parts to this one. First of all, start the staff meeting at an odd time, like 9:12 a.m. I know that sounds crazy, but several companies have tried this. It actually works really well. That it's in an odd time like that. People actually show up on time more frequently for an odd time than they would at the top of the hour. Secondly, if they are late, then you could have them do something crazy. I know this one kind of sucks if you're an employee, but if you have people sing, there are companies that make you do this. Have people sing if they're late. Doesn't matter what it is. I mean, you could have them sing whatever they wanted to, and then they could sing happy birthday, or go full on karaoke singing some Journey. They could sing the national anthem or a nursery rhyme. If you make people sing if they're late, they're not going to be late. It sucks, but they're not going to be late very often unless they have to. If their phone rings, there are a couple of things you could do. Have them put it on speaker. You could have them make a donation to the company-sponsored charity. That's a good thing to do, and it's a little less frightening. But have them give a $5 donation to the company charity if their phone rings or if they're late. Some companies do things like no rehash paddles. So ping pong paddles, you would hold up a ping pong paddle if somebody starts to rehash something, and that's a no rehash rule. When they hold that up, let you know, hey, we've already gone over that, time to move on. And then if this is at a set time for the meeting and the meeting actually goes over, then the person who sets the meeting would put $5 in the whatever jar, like the team beer jar or the team coffee jar or whatever it is. So that's another way to keep them on track throughout the meeting and make sure that you stay on time. Okay, that's number 9. So start at the odd time, and then there you have a bunch of tips for throughout the meeting. All right, that was number 9. The last one, number 10. 10. Here we go. Door prizes. Yep, door prizes. You might be thinking that's crazy, but seriously, door prizes. Think about it. Who's going to want to miss a staff meeting if you have door prizes? Now, I know this might sound crazy, but let me give you some examples here. Okay, so first of all, these could be merit-based. They don't just have to be like door prizes like regular ones that you think about. Think about merit-based door prizes. For instance, pose a challenge, okay? And then everybody offers a solution. And then you vote for the best solution. You can't vote for yourself. And then whoever wins with the best solution, the winner gets $50. Or a $20 gift card. Or whatever. That's a good way to do it. And when you have prizes for actually engaging in the staff meeting, you're going to be engaged, right? You're going to get engaged. You could make it, instead of merit-based, you could make it random. So as you come into the staff meeting, entrants put their name in a hat, and then you draw a name at the end of the meeting, and then the winner had to have contributed to the meeting to get a prize. So it's not just about getting the prize. You have to have contributed to the meeting in some meaningful way to be able to get the prize. And you could even have the rest of the team vote on whether or not they contributed something to that meeting to determine whether they got the prize or not. That way you wouldn't look like the bad guy if they didn't contribute at all and you said, sorry, you didn't contribute, you don't get this prize. So if I drew John's name out of the hat, the whole room votes. Did John engage in this meeting today? Did he contribute anything valuable? Yeah, I think so. Oh, John, you get your prize. So this could be simple. I mean, it could be like $10, you know. You could always do more, but I mean, as simple as $10, people are going to want to get engaged and get involved. And then every now and then, you know, like once a month, once every other month, something like that. Once a month would be awesome if you did that. I don't know if you have staff meetings every week or bi-weekly or whatever, but let's say you had weekly staff meetings. Once a month, if you gave something bigger away, then that would certainly get people in there. Oh, this week we have a television, you know. So there are all kinds of ways to do that, all kinds of ways to engage your staff, your employees. Get engaged. Have fun. Don't just make it boring. There you have 10 interesting and unusual great ways to get involved in staff meetings. I really hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you like this video. Please click the subscribe button and look forward to more Communicate with Command. You have a great day.